Hey guys, Saf here with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're going to be looking at patch notes for patch 5.30. Now if you've been a regular viewer of this channel for some time, you will know by now that every time we have a patch, I come in and I will take a look at sort of what the official patch notes are and also do a bit of a breakdown into the game code, into understanding any changes that they haven't told you about and any changes that are happening in the background which are relevant or important to players and need to know. So without further ado, let's take a look at the patch notes. So I have the official patch notes here from Oracle, and this gets posted onto Plarium's forums around about an hour after it goes live. In this patch is obviously quite a lot of system changes. Now I'm not going to go through all of them in great detail. Some of them are quite obvious, but I'll sort of give my opinions on what I think about these changes. So the first big thing we have here is the new champion skins function. Now, I'm with Hellhades on this. I'm shocked it's taken Plarium this long to introduce this system. We know, based on player habits in other games such as League of Legends, how things look and feel is valuable to the person who is playing it. And Raid's USP, or sort of like one of the primary reasons why they are stronger than most other games, is it looks so damn cool. It looks amazing. These skins that we get every time there's new champions, they may be the most basic kit or boring in the game, but they always look amazing. So the fact that we're now getting versions or skins is a great idea. I mean, if it helps generate revenue for the company and ultra whales want to sort of spend that money, and even maybe normal players might want to spend that money, that's great, because actually what you're getting is investment into the game that isn't directly correlated with win conditions in the game. You know, right now, champion empowerment was negatively received by some people because effectively I can continue to buy my way into a benefit in the game that other players cannot do unless they do the same thing. This notion of pay to win, even though it's not quite the same thing. Where with skins, it's literally just pay to look cool. So I think it's a great way to generate the same revenue that we need for the game to survive and to sustain, but not affect the player balance, the game balance, and all those sorts of things. So we're starting with the obvious champion, Arbiter. Now I know from the game code they have basically coded it for every possible champion, which means that it doesn't necessarily mean that every champion is going to get a skin, but that the possibility is there that it could. So it looks like there's going to be almost rarities, classic, heroic, and iconic being the sort of paid version with heroic. So this will be going into the clan shop. When I go through the unofficial patch notes, I will break down sort of the cost in terms of how much clan gold you're going to need and how quickly you can get the Arbiter's heroic Dark Fallen skin. We don't have any information right now about the iconic skins. That's not in the game code. I'm not going to cover clan shop here. We're going to go through that in the unofficial patch notes when I break down what they've changed. But they've added a new champion and they've added a new artifact set, and we'll discuss that later on. And the big change for this patch is obviously the AI change per floor. You're now able to effectively customize every single encounter where rounds exist. So some people noted that clan boss had this per floor. There's only one floor in a clan boss, it's one round, so therefore round 1 will carry the same as round 2 and round 3. You can't use those abilities. Super Race in Faction Wars, multi-battle in Faction Wars, this is great now. It's probably going to make me do 3v3 a little bit more, so I get the 18 and you just instantly hit it. Unfortunately, I'm still not getting 6-star speed glyphs. Why we can't have a 6-star speed glyph in clan shop, I don't know, but please, Plarium, please. Okay, and the champion rebounces then. The big one here is obviously Yakal the Scourge. I wouldn't say it's a complete rework. His feel is still the same thing in terms of how he interacts with freeze. It's just he does a lot more damage now and it's a lot more simple to interact with his kit. It doesn't need to be multiple hits in certain orders and the freeze doesn't need to be there. It's now just an AoE hit and lots more ignore defense. I still think there are issues with his kit, but I'm going to cover sort of my take on the champion as we look at what changed in terms of his multipliers, because the A3 obviously has changed from being a triple hit into an AoE into just an AoE, so they have compensated for the fact that there is less hits going on. We then have Cleopteryx. This is just a straight damage increase. I think this is good. Her problem before was generally she didn't hit quite hard enough to be a nuker, so she became kind of a Ruel bot to apply the hex to everyone. If you didn't have a second Ruel, that was. So I think this is the right step forward. We'll check in a bit to see how much damage she actually does. Same thing with Samar, just more damage, although I don't really think this is significant at all. And then we've got some quality of life changes to Scartosis, who was actually the first legendary that I ever pulled, and he is actually a very strong legendary. He's just unfortunately was sort of year gapped, power crept, whatever term you want to use, his turn cooldowns were based on when there was 100 or 200 less champions in the game. So it's good that they're coming back to revisit some of these champions that still have uses, but just needed a little bit of a 2022 cleanup. And then we've got Nobel increasing his base speed to 2022 numbers. Great. Even though he's not that old a champion, 92 is extremely slow. So the game experience enhancements, these are normally like little quality of life bug fixes that they do. Things like multi-battle attempt bundles are now added separately. That's great. I don't want to have maybe all 800 or whatever you've bought. We've got some bug fixes. I haven't personally seen this, but I would love to see the clip of Urost Soul Cage running around in circles to some Benny Hill music if anyone can find it for me. We've got some blue lightning visual effects, dread bombs no longer getting invisible ones and all these kinds of things, and some clan quest update. So all in all, it's actually a massive patch for the quality of life of the game. Per floor AI is going to be game changing. You might even see some faster speed comps in dungeons that we didn't have before. Things like Dark Phase should be autoable much more comfortably now, rather than having to sort of pray for the RNG to get you right skills at the boss stage. And I think the skins is a step in the right direction. So let's take a look now at what they haven't told you about in the official patch notes and other things that have changed in the game code. So in the unofficial part, I always put a disclaimer at the start. This is not official Plarium patch notes. This is me reading the game data that has been released and kind of giving you insights into the sort of analyzing that game data into what it actually means in the game. These things are in the game, but they're not officially released by Plarium, so they are subject to sort of my misinterpretation or any sort of changes that may not be included that I don't have access to in terms of the actual battle engine. This is just like the raw static data, the fixed data that we access. So let's take a look. What have they changed? One thing that they changed, which they haven't told you about, is the Hydra quests they added in the last patch. They have changed the elite quests. So previously you used to need to have to decapitate 10 Hydra heads on hard, and you had to survive Hydra on for 150 turns on hard. This is now brutal or higher. So if you were picking up this quest before and you were only doing hard and normal in your clan, you will now need to step up a difficulty. Quite a minor change, but it was important players understand that, you know, this quest has changed. It does say so in the description, but I'm sure there'll be a player out there who just picks it up naturally without reading it fully. So the big change here really is the clan shop. Let's have a look at what they've changed. Arbiter's skin, that is the Dark Fallen, that is the heroic skin. She will be available in slot 3. So pretty much every clan should have this unlocked. And I think it is not a chain when it's a case of you have to collect all the skin to then unlock the artifact, which you shouldn't be buying the artifact anyway. The way this is going to work is very much like a fragment collector champion. You're going to need to get skin fragments, and then once you get 100, you can almost, I guess there'll be some method of summoning or activating that skin. Maybe it automatically does it. We'll have to see. There'll be 5 fragments per week as a personal limit, and you can buy 1 fragment for 70 clan gold. So if you want the skin, you're going to have to fork out 7,000 clan gold. Now for Yakal, he has been added into slot 7. Used to just be potions. Nobody really bought that, so this is a good slot to put him in. Again, very similar to Yannicka, he'll be 5 fragments per week. Once you get 100 fragments, you can summon him. He's going to cost 150 gold per fragment. So that's about 50% more clan gold than Yannicka cost. And that is going to be 1,500 clan or 15,000 clan gold to get Yakal the Scourge. That should take you around about 24 weeks if my math on top of my head is quick. So it's not exactly a rapid rise to Yakal, but you'll get him eventually if you want to put your clan gold into that. Now that is very difficult with the changes that they have made in other slots. So Killstroke artifact is the new artifact set they've added. It's effectively crit damage 2.0, or crit damage with a little bit more speed if you want to look at it like that. They've added it into slots 9 and 12. Now I actually think this is kind of insane that they've put it so high up in the clan shops. To get to clan slot 9, I think you need to be level 13 clan, and to 12 you need to be level 17. Now there is no clan in the game that has got slot 12, and if you caught some of my other videos in the past around how you accumulate clan XP, much of the clan XP is going to be earned from personal rewards. You will earn a typical tier 6 clan with 30 members earning sort of tier 6 in the personal rewards. They get an extra 30,000 clan XP just bursted into their clan. That's a ton of clan XP if you think you only get 500 XP per 30 quests, and you get like a little bit of dribs and drabs in sort of Hydra. So really, slot 12 is almost not worth considering, because I think I did some rough math the other day where if you were a tier 6 clan, you were doing at least 1 personal rewards every month, and all 30 members of your clan were getting the top reward and you were also doing 80 clan quests every week, it would take you somewhere in the region of 60 weeks to go from clan level 0 to clan level 17. That's excluding Hydra and a few other pieces, but you can see it's going to take you a significant amount of time with that level of time investment, which I know most clans won't do. So you can almost forget the slot 12 exists, but for slot 9, you're going to get 10 Killstroke artifacts per week. They're going to cost you 150 clan gold, and in the slot 9 you can get 5 or 6 star artifacts, and they are either epic or legendary. The difference with slot 12, you get half the amount of artifacts per week. It's an extra 50 clan gold, and you can and the reward is you only have get 6 star instead of 5 to 6 star. You still get epic and legendary. So is it worth investing in Killstroke? I actually don't think so, because you need fragments for Yannica. Fragments, you might want the energy, you might want the revenge accessories, you might want to hold now for the Chaos Ore, which has been added into the clan shop as well, which we're going to cover in a second. You might want the Akal fragments. There is now a lot more things you might want to trade your clan gold for, and I don't think 5% more speed is necessarily worth it compared to the crit damage set that you can already get out of Fire Knight. So what are the odds for Killstroke? Basically, if you get slot 9, there is a sort of one check whether it's rank 5 or rank 6, and then there's a check within each one which is whether it's epic or legendary. It works out that you've got a 56% chance when you get one of the Killstroke artifacts that it's a rank 5 epic. That goes then to 24% for rank 5 legendary. Rank 6 epic is 15%, and you've got a 5% chance to get a rank 6 legendary. So that's 150 clan gold. You can get 10 of them, so 1500 clan gold a week. You're looking at a 5% chance per chance. And then if you got the slot 12, that changes. You can't get rank 5, so you then just become an 80% epic and a 20% legendary. So if I'm at clan level 17, the likelihood is all of those players are endgame. Certainly in the next 6 months, that's going to be the case. Do they really want to be investing this much clan gold for a chance to get a rank 6 epic, 5 rank 6 epics a week? I can't see it. I think it's too high. I think the odds for the rarities are not quite there. It should be more like the Revenge, which is in slot 3 and slot 2, the really low down. But it's a decent set. It's not a bad set. It's just not worth the investment. So what else has changed? We've now moved the legendary book that used to be in slot 12. That is now going to be in slot 9. You can get 1 book per week, and that will cost you 3,000 clan gold. And the other thing that they've added in, which has sort of snuck in, is Chaos Ore. You can get 5 6-star legendary ore per week. That is an insane amount of legendary ore, considering we've been getting them as sort of either 5-star epics or maybe the odd 5-star legendary. There hasn't been that many 6-star legendary Chaos Ores added into the game. I can think maybe 2 to 3 we've received. If you're going to be able to get 5 per week, yes, it'll be on rotation, so there's a 25% chance that it could be Chaos Ore. I don't know whether it's going to be a chain of epic, then legendary, then whatever, then Chaos Ore, or whether it's going to be just a 25% chance to roll. But if really, most players, if they're playing this game seriously, should be holding 3,750 clan gold in their coffers, so that if this pops up, they buy it all straight away, because Chaos Ore is the most valuable resource in the game, because it gives you another chance at re-rolling that quad roll that rolled into flat stat into maybe a speed quad roll. And it is kind of, it's one of those like pulling a shard. You either get the legendary or you get crap, but it's worth getting them. So let's cover some champion changes. These are changes that haven't quite made it into the patch notes, and also we'll be looking at the multipliers. So the first thing they've fixed is Cardinal's Revive. Now, it used to be set to 4 allies. It's now going to revive 5 allies instead. This is basically as a result of Hydra. Probably if you've used Cardinal and Hydra and you revived, one of them would not get revived just because of the targeting. It now will revive everyone, and it's been updated to add revive conditions so that it clearly states it can't revive blocked allies, and there's no sort of revive bonus that it gets. So all in all, a minor change, but it just means that she's now viable in places where you have more than 5 heroes, which is Hydra. Uros the Soul Cage has had some changes to his passive, the HP growth. I'm not entirely sure what has changed, but I know from looking at the code, it's interacting with block passive skills, which is really only on Romantu. I think what it's basically done is supported it. Maybe Romantu wasn't working with him in the past. I'm not too sure. I've tested him a few. I haven't really seen any visible game impact as of yet, but effectively, instead of his HP growing based on the number of times the poison procs in terms of coding, it now does it on a counter. So if anyone has or Austin is noticing some weird things, let me know in the comments below, but I'm pretty sure this is an unchanged, it's just a game coding change rather than actually sort of change anything in the actual engine, but perhaps it could be doing something with Romantu. Okay, let's get on with the new champion changes. Yakal has now had one multiplier change. The A1 and the A2, yes, it's got ignore defense, so it was going to do more damage, but the multipliers themselves haven't changed, and I think you used to be godlike anyway. In terms of his A3, the AoE component used to be a 3.5 attack. That is now moving to 3.8, so it's a little bit of an increase. He is a godlike damage dealer. Now, the problem we have with estimating Yakal's damage and even using him in the game is his passive is now effectively, one way to look at it is like a Candrathon mixed in with a Tuamacia type multiplier. So he's going to get 10% damage for every freeze that's out there, whether that's on your team or the enemy team, and he'll also get 10% damage reduction. Now, the problem is he's not immune to freeze himself. So if you wanted to use him as like a Gurgo counter, Gurgo the Ogre, he's going to get frozen, which means that yes, he's going to take less damage, but normally if you're frozen, you're probably going to lose that fight. Now, if you're using a freeze, that's great, but then you've still got to deal with Resurgent, you've still got to deal with different things that mean that freeze gets removed. Siphi's passive. There's lots of things that disable that freeze, and if he loses the freeze, he loses his ignore defense, he loses that damage stimulus. And then the other thing you've got to contend with is the fact that if you're attacking with freeze, you're taking 25% penalty. You know, you're going to deal 25% less damage. So you have this situation where the passive kind of boosts his damage, but at the same time reduces his damage, which at the same time you can then hit sort of enough freezes that you overcome. I'm not really sure, you know, he's going to hit decently. He did anyway. He can't really replace anyone in the meta. I think that's quite clear, but he could be still very MVP in certain areas such as Dark Fae, like he already is. He could be a good wave clear because he's got an irresistible freeze with high turn meter. There's lots of flexibility in his kit. He could be very good as a sort of a tanky go second. If there are a lot of freezes out there, could be good with paired with Torment. So it'll be interesting to see his development, but as a free champion, I'm certainly not going to complain. He's a void legendary, you know, it's a great champion to have. Cleopteryx's issue was always a lack of damage. She had a sort of a selfish kit in the sense that all her buffs were self buffs, that she didn't help the team at all. So really she had to be hitting some really good numbers to justify her position in the team. And it wasn't quite there. So they've targeted that issue. The A1 hasn't changed. The A2 moves from a 3.9 to a 4.5, and the A3 moves from a 3.7 to a 4.7. That is a big increase of damage. She was previously rated strong. She is now godlike. The only downside to her kit is the A2 has the buffs, but the weaker multiplier, and the A3 doesn't have sort of the buffs. And if you want to activate her hex abilities, you would need accuracy. So she's not that crazy enough that she's just out and out good nuker, but she is a double AoE nuker. She's probably going to hit around about ethos level, which is still about 30 to 40% weaker than your Trunda and about 20% weaker than Constantine, who is the closest one that is a sort of a non-conditional damage dealer. Good changes, good base attack, very fast. She's now no longer just a Ruel bot. She could be the damage dealer in that team as well. And she still has some pretty good debuffs, block active skills. She has that weird counterattack passive. So it'll be interesting to see how she goes. I have it currently in my fragment collection that I've got from the free champion. And again, it's a free champion that everyone gets, so they're boosting champions that everyone gets. I like that change. So Samar Gem Curse has had damage increases as well. Now, this is a bit strange to me because he's HP based, and we know generally, unless you're Vasulf and Magnar, HP damage is quite low. It can't be buffed. The only reason why those two champions are really strong is because they have that conditional extra turn. And any champion that has like a conditional extra turn, whether it be a Phenax A1, a Candrathon A1, a Trunda A3, a Magnar or a Vasulf A2, they tend to hit really hard because they're coded as if you're not going to get the second hit, even though you can enable that. With Samar here, we don't get that. His biggest job right now is trying to survive Bommel and then soloing it. So if anything, all this is going to do is maybe shave 20 seconds or 30 seconds off your Samar Gem Curse solo run, if that's what you're doing. It's around about a 25% increase across the board. It does move his A2 and A3 from a sort of average position to strong, so he's moved up a little bit. But generally speaking, I'm not expecting this change to really make a difference to your account. unless, you know, as I said, you want to save a bit of time in Bommel. So onto the new Fusion champion that has launched today. We have Nari the Lucky. He's pretty much designed to be a support champion in the sense that he's got some priority buffs and debuffs, and he has that weird mechanic where he can start stealing buffs and doing some funky things. He's got a good base defense, and I think he's got 19,000 HP as well. So keeping him alive is going to be straightforward. 104 speed is great, and it was good to see that his A3 booked to a 4-turn cooldown. So that means you're going to get a 1-turn baroque and a 4-turn cooldown. It's still a bit long, but it would concern me that it might have been a 5-turn, which would have been then almost impossible. So what are we looking like in terms of damage? So we got 2.1 on his A1, and then his two AoEs are 3.3 and 3.7. These work out around about average. Now, I did do some comparisons to look at Iron Brago. Iron Brago has similar defense number, and also has an AoE with a 3.7 times defense, and he is rated strong and noted for his damage. The difference with those two champions, Nari the Lucky doesn't really have any damage on his books, whereas Iron Brago does. So he's already losing around about 15% damage on that high multiplier ability, and that is enough to force him down from being strong to average. So that is the issue with his damage. He won't be a nuker, but the buffs and debuffs I actually think are very strong in Doom Tower. If you're struggling to hit certain stat breaks because you're progressing, or you're in that position where you're having to sort of stretch your builds to get more stats in, he's very good at trying to bring the stat burden down with his A2. I think really to know whether he's a good champion, it'll require a playtest. But overall, he's not a terrible champion, and he's probably a decent fragment champion collection in that sense. And finally, a little preview to what we've got coming up. So in the game code right now, there's no information about these champions, but they have added new portraits. We have got 5 new champions in the mix. Maybe they were scheduled to come along with Nari, but because of the issues in the last month, the war that's going on, they were pushed back. But here we've got sort of 5 portraits. We can see probably the Pinocchio Shadowkin, as I'm liking to call him right now. Clearly a Shadowkin champion, looks like a samurai. We've got another dwarf by the looks of it, based on the sort of the facial mask. That looks to be like a skinwalker, or like maybe a lizardman. And then we've got, I'm not really sure what these 2 bottom champions are going to be. I mean, they could even be skins of the same champion. They look so similar. Who knows? But I do know the champion on the bottom left looks like he interacts with Hex based on one of his skill abilities, which we can also see. So yeah, it looks like we've got some new champions coming up, maybe in the next patch. Maybe it drops mid-patch. Who knows? We know the anniversary's coming. Maybe it's going to be part of that. But that's just like a little preview to see what is coming next. So that brings us to the end of the patch notes video. I hope that was interesting for you to see all those changes. If you're going for your Krisk tournament, this video is still going out. Hope you get your Krisk. I personally opted out as soon as I saw my group, which was a little bit horrendous. It started off with a 10,000. I thought I'll get to 14,000. We'll see the lay of the land and whether or not it's worth going for. But I'm pretty sure I'm now amongst a bunch of sort of crack and whales. They're all going at it. There's 3 of them really kicking in. I've got a member of Rat there. One guy's decided he wants to change the name of his account using gems just to tell everyone. I'm not really sure why he's done that. But if you're going for him, best of luck. As always, if you like this content, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to get these videos coming straight into your feed, please subscribe to our channel. It really helps us to continue to develop more videos alongside all the other work that we do on hellhades.com. And I will catch you next week, where we'll be looking at Clan Boss. And I've got a bit of a mini tutorial series to help early to mid-game players progress up to Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss. So if that's something you are currently struggling with, keep an eye out, and that will come into your feed in the next couple of weeks.